right? So when I am going to talk about HA1, HA2, these are actual physical interfaces, okay, which we utilize for high availability configuration. Okay, all these ports, 1, 2, 3, 4, or all these, even fiber ports, these are called in-band ports. Okay, and these are HA port, and management port is actually separate. Okay, but see, you will not find these HA ports, dedicated HA interfaces, in low end firewalls. Okay, in a basic firewall, like a virtual machine or a VM 220, or sorry, PA 220 or a VM 100, something like that, you won't have dedicated HA ports. Okay, so there you will have to use in-band ports for the same purpose which HA does. Okay, fine. Clear on what HA port is? Like, they're physical ports which we basically connect with each other for firewall. Okay, like what they have done is, you take up HA1 and connect that to HA1 here, and connect HA2 to HA2 here. Okay. Now it's not necessary directly connecting them. You can have a switch between them. You could do even routing between them. We'll discuss all that. Okay. So, like you see here, that these are our internal people. Okay, uh, and this is outside. So this is somewhere some DMC related stuff, and we have HA1 and HA2 dedicated directly connected between these two firewalls. Okay, right? So for HA, for high availability configuration, why do we need it? We want to minimize the downtime in case a hardware failure or some software failure occurs. Just
Sudhanshu, is any other prerequisite for those devices, like related to different version or any other prerequisite is required?
I didn't get you.
Suppose in one device we have a, different version and other device have a different version. Will it work or?
No, it won't work. You
Can,
will discuss the requirements, like what.
yes, yes. Requirement. I'm talking about requirement only.
So we will discuss like what should be similar. Think of it as like everything should be identical. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
NOS versions, even dynamic updates. If you have some antivirus updates on one,
Yes. Yes.
or if you say like, okay, I'll buy a better license on one, another will have a lower license, won't work. Okay, we'll come to that. Okay. So the idea is to minimize the downtime, right? And for this, you can use dedicated HA interface, like I showed you, HA1 and HA2, or you could use in-band ports on the firewall to do the same thing that HA port do. Okay, what do they do? We'll look at that. Okay, so basically, see, when you want to deploy that in active passive mode, suppose. Okay, what you want here is that in case you create a object here, an IP object, okay, or in case you create a security policy here, that should be synchronized. So for synchronization of these and lot of other things like keep alive between the firewall, we use HA port. Okay. So some firewall specific configuration is not synchronized between the firewalls. Like what? Like for example, if you talk about the management interface IP, the management interface IP for this firewall and this firewall will be different, right? Okay. Also, if you want to synchronize logs of both of them, that cannot be done using HA configuration. For that, you will have to buy a panorama. Okay, if you want logs to be synchronized and you want to look at it from one place, pull all that information to panorama and look at it panorama. Okay, so that's not a job of HA. Okay, so moving on, we have two modes. One is active passive, as the name suggests. In this one, firewall will be active, uh, actively, you know, routing, doing security policy and NAT and all these things for the data. And then the passive one takes over in case active goes down. Okay. So one firewall actively manages traffic while other is synchronized and ready to transition should a failure occur. Okay. Now in this mode, both firewall will share the same configuration settings, obviously, or else it could be that you try to go from maybe PA1, which is active earlier. Its security policy allowed, but then when you try to go through PA2, when it became active, you were not allowed. So obviously, we need to synchronize the configuration settings. Okay. Now see, you in this active passive mode have the virtual wire option, layer 2, layer 3 deployment option. Okay. The other mode is active mode. And in that case, obviously, both the firewalls are actively working and managing traffic. Okay. And in case even one goes down, the other already is actively managing the traffic. So the only thing here in active is it's a little bit more complicated compared to the active passive mode. Okay, so a lot of times people just go for active passive mode. Okay, and if you are not in a data center environment where there is very like you can have where you want a lot of traffic to be handled like in a load balanced way parallelly by both the firewalls, nobody is sitting idle, then you go for active. But most of the cases get satisfied with active passive. Okay, see what's the complication in active. Okay, I'll give you a basic idea. Suppose this is Palo Alto 1. Okay, and this is Palo Alto 2, and somebody from inside tried to go outside, maybe access a website and used port number 43. Okay, or 80, suppose. Now when they go out, okay, these whichever firewall is handling the traffic for that particular device will create a session, right? A session table entry that source IP this, source port this, destination IP this, destination port this. Okay. So now imagine this, that return traffic comes through this Palo Alto 2. Okay. You will need to synchronize this session table, and they'll also have to take care of session ownership, let each other know a lot of things. And at the same time, routing gets a little bit complicated compared to active passive, because in active passive it's just this firewall managing everything until it goes down. So if it is down, then it doesn't matter, and Palo Alto takes over. Palo Alto 2 takes over. So in this case, in active-active, both firewalls are going to maintain session tables, routing tables, and they'll synchronize this information with each other. Okay. Now in active-active, there is a support for vWire and layer 3. So layer 2 you cannot use if you are using active-active. Okay. Now question comes, which mode should you use? Okay. See, if you are looking for a simple design and you are new to Palo Alto, choose active passive. Okay, it's easier to troubleshoot. Okay, and if you want layer 2 interface deployments, obviously active does not make any sense, right? Because it does not support it. And also, like I told you, like active mode requires advanced design concepts of network. Like you need to do asymmetric routing. Okay, what I mean by asymmetric routing is traffic goes through one path and comes through another path. So until unless you are really, good at, you are really, yeah. No, see, we can have asymmetric routing. It's not uh, as easy as you think. Okay, it's not just having two default routes. Okay, it's uh, wait. I'll come to that. If okay, because I don't want to get into BGP related stuff in this class. Okay, I'll clarify that. Okay, so now depending upon how you implement active HA, it might require additional configurations such as activating networking protocols, replicating NAT pools, deploying floating IP address to provide proper failover. Okay, floating IP address is the same thing as you do for VRRP or those kind of redundant FHRP options where you use one device and uh, there's an active device and then there is a failover device. Okay. Now active obviously will have faster failover. Okay. Like I told you, active deployment will require asymmetric routing configuration. Okay, it's highly recommended, and in fact, you can just think like if anybody goes for active deployment, they typically go for asymmetric route. Okay, and if you are doubtful, then you are the guy who should go for active standby. Okay, because it suits for most of the environments. Okay, and if you are unsure, that means you are less clear on the design concepts as well. Okay. So like I told you, there is HA link. Okay. So first thing that we are going to talk about is HA1 control link. Okay. Now the HA1 control link is the physical port which is used to exchange hellos, heartbeats, and HA state information. Okay. So what happens is obviously they'll need to exchange hello messages just to keep check on each other whether the other party is up and running or not. So Palo Alto 1 will send that to Palo Alto 2. Okay. And Hellos are Palo Alto proprietary messages. Okay, and heartbeats are basically ICMP ping requests. Okay. Now, firewalls also use this link to synchronize configuration changes with its peer. So if you make a security policy on one firewall, that firewall is going to push that to the other Palo Alto 2 using HA1 link. Okay. And HA1 link, like I told you, it's a layer 3 link and requires an IP address. Okay. That is why, or because you always have IP address at management interface, so you can use that if you want to save up on the number of ports used. Okay. So like I told you, ICMP is used for exchange heartbeats. Ports that are used for HA, TCP 28769 and 28260 if there is clear text communication. Okay. If you want to enable encrypted communication, then port number 28 is used. Okay. Which is another port number for HA. Okay. Then you have HA2, that is the data link. Okay. HA2 link is like I was telling you that what happens is if suppose Palo Alto 1 and Palo Alto 2 is there. Okay. Now suppose this is being utilized. This is the active firewall. Okay. If it has some ARP entries, those ARP entries should be synchronized with the Palo Alto 2. If it is making some IPsec VPN security associations, okay, then those should be synchronized as well, because in case this firewall goes down, the other one has to take over. So all the forwarding table, okay, IPsec security association, ARP table, these things are synchronized using the HA2 link. Okay. If somebody uses the word control link, they mean HA1. If somebody uses the word data link, that means HA2. Okay. So data flow obviously on an HA2 link always will be unidirectional, like because you just want the active firewall to tell ARP entries to be added or deleted to other firewall, right? So all the traffic on HA2 link will remain unidirectional from active firewall to the passive firewall. Okay. An exception to this is the keep alive. Okay. Keep alive, both of them will do with each other. Okay. HA2 is a layer 2 link, and like I told you, we don't need IP addresses there. Okay. There is a specific ether type value for the frames being sent on HA2. Okay. The ether type value is this. So that's a value that goes on to layer 2 header. Okay. So this ether type value tells like what are the contents of the frame. So if it is IP, there is a defined value. If it is IPv6, there is a defined value. Okay.
Layer 2 link means
You don't assign IP address on it.
okay.
This also means like you will connect this directly or through a switch. You won't do routing in between. You won't. Okay. Although we can do it, it's not like we cannot do it, but commonly people don't do it. Okay. What we can have is we can have it like this, where if you want, maybe it, if all the Palo Alto commands that don't do this, but suppose if they are far away on different subnets and there's routers involved, then you can configure an IP address here and IP address here, and it will do take care of that as well. But generally, it's recommended either you connect them directly or maximum through a switch. Don't try to have a lot of routing in between them, like this or directly. Okay. So ports used for HA2. The HA data link, like I told you, can use either IP, okay, if required, if you have to span subnets, if you want to go and get routed and then reach the other firewall. Then you can have IP protocol number 99, which is used. And also you could have UDP based communication if you want. It's like you can choose between IP and UDP depending upon if you have to span subnets, if you have to go through a lot of routers or devices in the middle and reach it in another subnet. Okay. Like I told you, whenever possible, connect these two ports directly. Okay.
So 99 is used for the like establish the connection or
No. See, 99 is IP protocol number.
okay.
See, let me clarify. At layer 4, you have port numbers, right? Source port, destination port, right?
Yes.
At layer 3, you have IP protocol number.
Yes.
Okay. Like you might have studied for EIGRP 88 or SPF 80. I don't mean, sorry. OSPF 88, 89, these protocol number. Yeah, ICMP. You might have studied ICMP protocol number 1. Okay. I'll just quickly refresh with IP header.
Mostly routing protocol works on that layer.
Yeah, but there are many other things. You see here, this is the field that I'm talking about. So there's a lot of these things. If TCP is there, so it tells like what is encapsulated within the packet. Okay. TCP 6, UDP 17. So this is where I'm saying like the value 99 will be if you are now see this and this is different actually. Like layer wise, if I tell you, if you use IP protocol number 99, then the frame looks like this. If you use UDP, then it will look like this. Because the IP protocol number here, if you are using UDP, the IP protocol number will be 17, right? Okay. Then you will have port number here 29281. If you use UDP, it's like an option you choose.
Okay.
Okay. Now, some people might be a little bit more skeptical, like what if HA1 goes down, and say like, okay, what if HA2 goes down? So you can have backup links, okay, for HA1 and HA2. Okay, like a HA1 backup link could be there and HA2 backup link could also be there. Okay, the job of those links is simply in case HA1 goes down, HA1 backup link will be utilized uh, if there is an interface failure of HA1. Okay, if the firewall has not failed, but like maybe there is some wire issue, or maybe there is uh, some interface issue. Okay, so then what you can have is you'll have it like this. This will be a HA1. This will be a HA2, and then you will have a backup HA1, and then a backup HA1 here, and then you will have a backup HA2 and backup HA2. Okay, so obviously this will be in a environment where you have sufficient number of ports. Like if you are working in a virtual machine environment or a low end firewall, you won't do this because maybe on a PA220, if you use 4 ports for just this, uh, I think you just have maybe 2 to 4 ports left for the network and other things. So usually people don't do this for low end firewalls, but this is an option. Okay, so you can have backup links which provide redundancy for HA1 and HA2. Okay, you can use your in-band ports. In-band ports means those Ethernet 1/1, 1/2, those ports. Okay, if dedicated backup links are not available, there are some very high-end firewalls which have even uh, physical interfaces available directly for backup links. Okay. So what are the guidelines for configuring backup links? Simple. If you are using it, the address of primary and backup HA link must not overlap with each other. What I mean by that is like, suppose uh, you are having this IP address here, then you will have a completely different IP address and different subnet here on this compared to this. Okay. So IP address cannot overlap. Okay. HA backup links must be on a different subnet from primary HA link. Okay. HA1 backup and HA2 backup ports must be configured on separate physical ports. Like you cannot have like suppose somebody says, okay, I want a backup link. Then what I'll do is you cannot do this. Okay, that's what I mean is like you get one port and say that this is the backup port. If you want to use it for HA1, you can use it for HA1. If you want to use it for HA2, you can use it for HA2. That doesn't work. Okay. You have to have dedicated and defined port, whether you want to use it as a backup link for HA1 or HA2. Okay. So on separate physical ports, you cannot have the same physical port acting as a backup link. The backup link uses 28770 and 28260 port numbers. Okay. And like I told you, you can also use management interface. Okay.
Sudhanshu, one basic question. Can we use fiber port as a Ethernet? Suppose we have a
Yes.
free,
Yeah.
we can
You
use,
can.
huh? Okay.
Like Ethernet port are fiber and copper both. So I didn't completely like understand like what's the use case? What do you want to do? Like you have a fiber port and sometimes lot of actually they are Ethernet, right? Like if you see this port, this is fiber, but Ethernet. Like
Yes.
Ethernet is available on copper as well as fiber.
So we can use these ports, right? 5, 7.
For HA,
No, not telling of HA, but other way in other for our network related.
yeah. See, commonly what happens is like if you are coming through a switch, okay,
Okay.
a switch at the somewhere here you might have noticed that there are fiber ports generally, right? Which
Yes.
you use to bridge backup links
Okay.
or uplinks to different switches. So you can
Yes.
bring that switch,
The same.
those ports and
Okay. Okay.
connect it
Okay.
here.
Okay.
Okay. Now, this is not required for your certification, the thing that I'm going to discuss. It's just for your information that if in case somebody comes to you and maybe uh, asks you HA3 in an interview or something like that, that's for just information purposes. Okay. There can be an HA3 link. Okay. And HA3 link is an additional link which you require in case if you go for active deployment. Okay. What happens is this is the link that firewalls use to forward packets to each other. Okay. Because like I told you, when you um, establish active, suppose both of them are acting as active. Now, sometimes a packet that is supposed to maybe initiated here and went using Palo Alto 2, so this became the session owner for it. Okay, because it established the entry in the session table. Now the return traffic, if it comes to Palo Alto 1, it can use this HA3 interface to forward it to Palo Alto 2 so that it can, you know, take whatever action is necessary based on session table. Okay. So firewall use this link for forwarding packets to pair during session symmetric session setup and asymmetric traffic flow. Okay, like they use this to forward traffic to each other. Okay, it uses MAC in MAC encapsulation. That means that whatever frame comes in, you put another header, a layer 2 header onto it. Okay, that's what you call MAC in MAC. Okay, don't think Mac in Mac from you know something. It's something from Apple. If you run a MacBook within a MacBook, that's Mac in Mac encapsulation. Okay? Not like that. So it does not support layer 3 addressing or encryption. Like I told you, it's a layer 3 link. You put frames within new frames to forward between the firewalls. Okay, and also it does not support any encryption. These are utilized by PA7000 series firewall. Okay. Also, you cannot have HA3 backup. Okay. Like sometimes people might be like, can I have a can I have a HA1 backup? Yeah, you can have HA1 and then you can have HA1 backup. Can I have HA2 and HA2 backup? Yeah, you can have HA2 and HA2 backup. But if you want HA3 and then HA3 backup, no, HA3 backup is not there. So if you want to use uh, or maybe have the functionality of HA3 backup, it's best to use aggregate interfaces. What is that is the Ether channel. Instead of using one interface, you bundle multiple physical interfaces and use them as the Ether channel and use the logical aggregate interface as HA3 link. Okay. Now, aggregate interfaces can also provide redundancy for layer 3. Like I told you, there's no dedicated backup link for HA3. Okay. On some of these firewalls, you will find this HSCI port. Okay. This is what is used as a HA3 link. Okay. Like I told you, it adds a whole frame into another frame. So obviously MTU will be bigger than normal MTU. Now obviously if you are going for active passive or in any such scenario, there is a priority who will become active. So here also there is device priority. Okay. And the default value of priority is 100. Okay. So lower numerical value is preferred. Okay. So remember this is important because I've seen sometimes people just thinking that higher priority means better firewall and it will become active. No, not like that. Okay. Lower numerical value is preferred. Or sometimes even in PAN-OS admin guide and books, you will find it's written a little bit in an unclear way. Like they say higher priority, but what they mean is a lower numerical value. Okay. So if somebody says that this firewall has a higher priority, sometimes that will be what they mean is the value will be lower. Okay. So if you talk about these two firewalls, one is having 90, another is having 150, who will become active? This one. Okay. Now, by default, preemption is disabled on both firewalls. Okay. And if you want, you can enable preemption on both firewalls. Okay. What is preemption? Suppose this is the active firewall and it goes down. Okay. Now this firewall becomes active, right? It comes back up after some time, like maybe 15-20 minutes. Yeah. Let's first complete this and we'll come to that. Okay. See, like I was telling you for preemption, okay, that if this goes down, obviously this priority 150 is going to become active, right? Because the other firewall is down. Now, after maybe 15-20 minutes, if this firewall comes back up, now it cannot overthrow this firewall and become active if preemption is disabled. Okay. If preemption is enabled, then only it can overthrow after coming back up. Okay. So if a firewall is late to become active, it cannot it can overthrow if preemption is overthrow an existing active firewall if it is uh, enabled. Okay. So see, the preemptive behavior allows firewall with higher priority, that means lower numerical value, to resume as active after it recovers from a failure. Okay. When preemption occurs, event is logged in system logs. Okay. Now, see, ideally you should not keep the priority same. Okay, but if you keep the priority same, then you have left it more or less to timing, like whosoever comes up first, okay, they become active. Okay, so Palo Alto recommends that don't keep the uh, default value. Now there are many things that are checked in order to detect a firewall failure. Okay, what are those? First is heartbeat polling and hello messages. Okay, suppose there's this one firewall who is sending ICMP heartbeat messages, basically ICMP ping packets to other firewall, and the other one is not responding. In that case, the firewall which is not responding, if it is active, the other one will become active, right? So a similar thing for hello messages. If there are some hello messages being sent from one firewall to another, and if it doesn't respond, it will become active. Also, we have the option of link monitoring and path monitoring, which we are going to cover in the next slide. We'll discuss that. Okay. Basically, link monitoring, think of, I'll just give you a basic idea here. We'll go in detail later. Like, suppose sometimes, like, let's come back here. Okay. Now, suppose you have both these firewalls connected to internet and you want to monitor the state of this interface. Okay, that if in case this interface goes down, even if this firewall is up, don't be active. That is what is link monitoring. Okay, that you monitor a state of a particular link. There are, we'll see it in the configuration. You'll be far more clarified once you see it in the configuration. Other thing we have is path monitoring. In path monitoring, just like you might have seen in Cisco, we create some track objects to check continuously the connectivity to something. That's the similar thing that happens here. Okay. In path monitoring here, it will continuously send ICMP ping messages to a particular destination. And if that destination becomes unreachable for whatever reason, you take the firewall down from active. Okay. Now, other reasons for failover. Okay. Commonly, people remember these three reasons, but if somebody asks for other reasons, they fail to remember. So these are important as well, like for tricky questions. If firewall admin suspends the firewall, that also is considered a failover. Like you can, there's a, once you have HA configured, you have a button there to go on the active firewall and select suspend to check failover. Okay. In that case, nothing else is checked. Like heartbeat is not checked, link monitoring, path monitoring, these things are not checked. It's directly checking that administrator has put the firewall on suspend. Okay. Next, in these firewalls, there is an internal health check, which is not configurable. Okay. Internal health check basically does a simple thing. It will check whether we have, some disastrous thing happening within the firewall. Maybe and there's some hardware failure of CPU. Okay, or maybe there is some hardware ASIC failure. If it detects some hardware failure within the firewall, it's going to, and if the firewall is active, it's going to give up and say like, okay, I'll not be active, and the other firewall can take over. So this can also be a reason on the rarest of rare scenarios. Okay, so I gave you 5 reasons. Let's discuss heartbeat polling in detail. Then we'll go to link monitoring and path monitoring in detail. Okay. So, like I told you, that they continuously keep on sending hello messages and heartbeat messages to verify that the other party is up and running. In other words, in English, plain English, think of it as a message saying, "Are you all right? Yeah, I'm all right. Are you all right? I'm all right." This keeps on happening between the firewalls every now and then. Okay. There's a hello interval for this. We'll look at those timers related stuff later. Okay. Now, heartbeat is like I told you, it's a ping. Okay. To check whether the other file was connected and responsive. By default, the heartbeat interval is 1,000 milliseconds. Means every 1 second. 1 second is equal to 1,000 milliseconds. So every 1,000 milliseconds, firewall is going to send a ping. And if there are 3 consecutive losses, it doesn't respond for 3 seconds, it's going to declare that that firewall must be down and become active. Okay. Second we have is link monitoring. Like I told you that you can have a physical interface list that you want to be monitored. Their state, whether they are up or down, is monitored. And in case the links go down, like let me show you, like, because sometimes people get confused into this. Okay, so our Palo Alto 2 has got a 0.10 and Palo Alto 1 has got 13. Okay. I'll open one of them for now. Configuration HA is configuring HA is actually easier. If you see, all the things that you have to configure are configured on this one single page. Device HA. Okay. But I just want to show you link monitoring and path monitoring. You see here, this is where you can add if you see here, this is where you can add interfaces. Okay, now this firewall is a fresh firewall, so there are no interfaces configured yet. That's why it doesn't show. But what you do is you make a link group, give it a name, maybe like, okay, internet interfaces. Okay. And then in the failure condition, we can have any or all. If you give any, if suppose there are 4 interfaces and any one fails, it's going to consider that link monitoring has failed. Okay. If you consider all, then all of those interfaces must fail in order to fail for failover to occur. Okay. A similar thing you can have so for individual link group. This is in general, like if you want to enable link monitoring and have the failure condition. Same thing is what monitoring
Sudhanshu
does
sir, your
is
voice is
it will
breaking.
Sudhanshu, your voice is not clear.
yeah, wait. Okay, I think it will be better now
Yes, yes.
because what happens sometimes is the signal drops a little bit. Okay, so I was telling you about path monitoring. Okay, in path monitoring, basically you tell this source IP, this destination IP, you tell the ping interval and how many pings in how much time. Okay, and it will continue sending probes or just like track object, it will continuously send ICMP. Okay, and if again you can have failure condition as any. In that case, if you have 4 or 5 IP address here, any one of them fails, you go ahead and declare failover. If you have all, then all of those must uh, fail to be reachable, then only it considers failover. Okay. Now let's come here. Okay. See, link monitoring. Physical interfaces to be monitored are grouped into a link group. Okay, and you monitor the state of link. You can have one or more physical interfaces. Okay, you can also configure it as whether you want any or all in the group to fail, like I showed you. Default behavior is any one in the link group will cause firewall to change HA state to non-function. Okay. Then we have path monitoring, in which you can check connectivity to important IP addresses. Okay. And if reachability fails, then you a failover is triggered. Okay. So the default interval for pings is 200 milliseconds. Like every 200 milliseconds, it will try to ping that IP address that you have given. And if 10 consecutive pings fail, that means after 10 continuous pings, that means 200 into 10, that will be 2 seconds. Okay. If for 2 seconds it doesn't get a response, it's going to trigger the failover. Okay. Again, you have any or all option. Okay. And default behavior is any one. Okay. Now, somebody had a question like, what are the prerequisites as in do we need to have the same version and all? See, you need to have the same model. Okay, same hardware model. You cannot have like, okay, I'll have a PA220 and then another one will have a PA850 and we'll create a HA. No, doesn't work. Okay, so same model, and it doesn't make sense as well if you don't keep the same capability, right? Because then how would the failover get properly working? Okay, the PAN-OS version should be same as well. Okay, and each version of whether app ID, URL, or thread database, they should be up to date. Okay, the virtual system capability, if you have it enabled, it should also be same on both the firewalls. Okay. You have to use same type of interfaces. Okay. Uh, Either you use dedicated HA links, like don't do this like, okay, on Palo Alto 1, you are having HA1 interface, physical HA1 labeled interface, and connecting that to Ethernet 1/1. No. Okay. Next, same set of licenses, obviously, or else people would have just bought all the licenses for one of the firewall and then made it work for the other one as well. So you need to have identical licenses on both the firewall. Next, what are the recommendations? Okay, like I told you, you can use management port for control connection, and uh, obviously you cannot cable this directly between the management interface and the management interface. It can't be like this, right? Because then how will you manage the firewall? So it will always, if you are using management interface, it will always be coming through a switch or something like that, so that you as an admin can manage the firewalls from there. Okay. So best practice recommendation is, if you have an existing firewall, like maybe this is one which is being actively utilized in the production environment, uh, do a factory default on this firewall and then bring it to the configuration. Okay. The reason for that is, sometimes maybe if it has some junk configuration or some old configuration, but maybe better priority, and you just plug it in and start configuring HA, the production firewall might get the configuration from this junk configuration firewall. So it's best that uh, take a firewall, configure everything perfectly on it, whichever is you are using in your production environment, then bring another firewall and use it to uh, use it with factory default, so that it gets all the configuration pushed from the active production firewall. Okay. Next, let's discuss HA timers. Now, even I really liked this timers related thing. Like, see, what happens is, commonly it sometimes becomes difficult to synchronize timers. Like, it becomes a little bit of headache, like to think, okay, what is the timer for value for this on one firewall, what is the timer value of this on the other firewall. So what they have done is, they have created three profiles. Okay. Recommended, aggressive, and advanced. Okay. So what you can do is, you can select on both the firewalls, Palo Alto 1 and Palo Alto 2. If you select both the firewalls with recommended timers, this profile, you already know that the timers will be same. Okay. And what's the difference between recommended and aggressive is that aggressive timers are a little bit more aggressive in terms of the values. Like, they are having lower values and doing more continuous frequent pings and all these heartbeat hello messages. So you don't have to manually define timer values necessarily. And I have seen most of the times people don't manually define these values, although you can, but most of the people don't. And what they'll do is, they'll either use recommended on both and ensure that it's same on both ends, or they'll use aggressive, and aggressive will also be same on both the ends. Okay. Advanced is what gives you the option to have individual specific values. Okay, so if you use these profiles, they auto populate the best timer values. So what are the timers that it affects? One is hello time. Okay, and hello interval basically decides how frequently you send hello packets, proprietary Palo Alto hello packets to the other firewall. Another is hyperbole interval, how frequently we send ping. Okay, and then there is preemption hold time. Okay, like if, like I was telling you, that if the priority 90 firewall after 15-20 minutes comes back up, it can overthrow the firewall with priority 150, but it will wait for this much time. Okay, it will wait for this much time before overthrowing and becoming active. Okay, also notice that sometimes people try to use this active primary, active secondary word. Okay, active secondary means the passive one, active primary means the active. Okay, now the easy thing for us is, for us both the firewalls have already the identical models and identical, these dynamic updates and everything.
Sudhanshu, while completing hello messages, so it will start the synchronization, data synchronization.
Yeah, it starts data synchronization. Mean what?
Like
It will
suppose uh, we have
it will do
configure,
configuration synchronization.
yes, configuration
Yeah.
synchronization. So after completing the hello messages or a specific time,
Yeah.
we can configure for that
Yeah.
synchronization.
No, there's no timer involved for configuration synchronization. As soon as you commit on one of the firewalls, it will start synchronizing it with the other firewall.
The same time.
Yeah. Like as soon as you push commit,
Mm-hmm.
okay. Like suppose I go to Palo Alto 1 and I make a security policy there. Okay. When I'm making security policy, it's not going to do anything. Okay. But as soon as I press commit, it's going to commit on the first firewall and then push it to the second firewall.
Okay, related to all configuration, right?
Yeah, whether it's an object, whether you create a security policy, whether you create a NAT policy, or maybe some security profiles, everything.
Is there any effect to SSL users which are connected remotely?
Why? Like, what's in your mind? Like,
Suppose some of the users are connected through a global protect, okay, and active got failed. That time, it will affect the connectivity or how it will perform.
okay. See, it will not have like direct effect, but there's another thing that we need to discuss about Global Protect. When you connect any remote access VPN, okay, even Global Protect, you typically get a list of devices to which you can connect for VPN. Okay, like in Palo Alto, we call it gateway. Okay, we get multiple Global Protect gateways. Okay, so think of it as like getting a list of prioritized firewalls. If one firewall fails to give you connectivity to the corporate network, you move on to the other one. So that's already based on uh, Global Protect configuration, not based on the HA configuration. You get the point? Like what I mean is, suppose there's this Palo Alto, there is another Palo Alto. Okay. Anybody who is coming remotely, okay, like somebody working from home, when they connect to Global Protect portal, when they authenticate and everything, they get a list of firewalls. Okay. And suppose it was connected to Palo Alto 1 because that was the highest. Okay. It already has a list of other firewalls. Okay. So if it stops responding, it will move on to the other firewall. You get the point? So this is more inclined towards Global Protect configuration rather than HA configuration. Because
Okay.
what you can do is you can even give gateways which are maybe not in the same city or same site. Like I'm taking an example. Suppose we have a firewall in Pune, Delhi. Okay. Now, for a person who is working remotely from home, I could even give Global Protect gateways as Pune best priority, second priority, Delhi. Okay. So it could even go to other sites to connect. But that is all Global Protect related stuff. Like it's got nothing to do directly with this HA configuration. Okay.
So it will not affect any
Like
connectivity.
see, their connection will drop for a moment and like it will be reconnected. Like user won't notice like complaining or something or creating a trouble ticket for that. Okay.
Okay. Suppose any voice related voice traffic, it will not affect, right?
See, even in voice call, now it depends on how voice people have configured it, but most likely, okay, there might be just a fraction of audio loss and then it connects. It depends actually on where the person has made the call.
Okay.
But
Okay.
most of the times it should be just some seconds, maybe 1 or 2 seconds of audio loss and then reconnection.
Okay. Okay. Fine. Means there is no disconnectivity related to voice or
No, no,
anything.
no.
Okay.
It will be like, a small glitch user won't even notice.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Okay. Usually you don't commit on passive firewalls, but yeah, that gets synchronized as well. Because it's like synchronizing, it's not like synchronizing priority. Okay. There is no synchronization priority. They know that both the firewalls need to be synchronized. Whichever, if you go to even the passive firewall and create a security policy and push commit, it will synchronize it to the active firewall. See, if you take a configuration lock on one of the firewalls, okay, now that configuration lock is actually not a configuration, right? Like you don't, do you commit for configuration lock? No. So that happens uh, uh, to stay within the uh, candidate configuration, you can say, right? It's never pushed actually to the firewall through a commit. So suppose, like from theoretical point of view, I haven't tried this, but I think this should happen. Okay. Like if suppose this is Palo Alto 1 and Palo Alto 2. Suppose I have take a configuration lock on this firewall. Then that config lock is only on Palo Alto 1. So if somebody makes configuration changes here, there's no configuration lock here because I just took it here. Okay, configuration locks, commit locks don't get synchronized to each other. So if you are thinking like, can the other person push the configuration? Yeah, they may be able to do that. But this is typically not done in a production environment because what you do is as a no. See, you as a team define a method, a process to do activity. Okay, you don't do it like a activity in the lab. Okay, in a production environment there will be proper processes written. Okay, sometimes just to uh, migrate a firewall, you will see people writing a 6-page or 7-page document depicting how what will the process if I migrate the firewall, like what will be my initial checks, what will be the uh, things that I'll do, and then what will be my checks after I complete the activity. So what I mean is like there is a proper policy. So commonly they don't do it from random firewalls. They'll say like, okay, we'll do it from one of the firewalls always. Okay. So this is the configuration checklist for active passive HA. You have to enable HA on both the firewalls, obviously, right? And then you configure a value, just like when you configure HSRP or VRRP or GLBP, you configure a value like standby one. Just like that, you configure a group ID value. Okay, that ID number should be same on both the firewalls. Okay, because that same group ID value, I think it goes from 0 to 63. That's the same value which is used to generate a virtual MAC address as well. So if you are using in-band ports such as HA links, you must set interfaces for HA1 and HA2 to type HA. Like I was telling you, it's simple. Okay, and set HA mode to active passive on both firewalls. If required, you can enable preemption. These are the things that I'll show you rather than see. First thing first, let's do this thing. This Palo Alto 1 has got an IP of .13, so that's this firewall. Okay, and this is Palo Alto 2. So initial thing, see, uh, on the management interface, they have got IP address through DHCP, right? We don't want that. Okay, so what we want is we want to set IP address on them statically. Okay, clear? So first thing, let me do that, which is not actually HA configuration. Okay, so first let me go to device management and interfaces. Here I'll set the IP address statically. Obviously for HA you cannot have IP addresses being allocated from DHCP. Problem would be they'll change. So the device setup interfaces. Okay. So we have a Palo Alto one with static IP now. And Palo Alto 2 also has fixed IP. So just think like, this, just imagine this is a switch which is connecting them. Okay. Through which I'm managing the firewall, also management interface to management interface, HA1 traffic will be sent back and forth using this. Okay. So we need to configure the in-band interface as HA. So I'll go to the first firewall and go to network on Ethernet 1/1. I'll select that, and here interface type, I'll modify and make it as HA. Okay. Now see, there are not much things to do after you do this. Okay. And also I'll remind you, HA interfaces cannot be part of any security zone. So you cannot make any security policies for these HA interfaces. Okay. Fine. One easiest way to check whether you have this okay from both ends is that just select and configure both of them as HA interfaces and see whether they come up after committing or not. So I've configured it as interface type HA. Now I'll just push commit. It's not necessary to do commit right now, but just to check whether this comes up properly or not. Okay. So similarly, I'll use Ethernet 1/1 on the Palo Alto 2. Here also interface type will use as HA. Okay, and commit. Okay. As you can see, the interfaces are showing up as green here. So this means the link is working fine. Okay. So now all other configuration you need to do is under device HA. Okay. So I'll go here and let's click on this gear icon or cog icon, whatever you want to call it. I'll check enable HA. Group ID number, this has to be having same value on the other firewall. So I'm just configuring one. Mode is active passive. And what is the IP address of the other firewall? Okay, I am currently on 0.13. So the other firewall's IP address is 10. Okay, so I'll click OK. Fine. If you have a backup link, you can configure the backup HA1 link's IP address as well. Okay. Next, you have election settings where you can decide how much priority you want to give to what. Like suppose I want to give it a priority of 50, whether you want preemption or not. Let's say we want to have preemption. Okay. Then enable preemption on both the firewalls. Okay. And like I told you, HA timer, you can just select recommended aggressive and it will automatically choose the values, best values. If you go for advanced, then you have to mention them individually. Okay. So I'll just use recommended, I'll not modify it. Okay. And once we have this, okay, if you go to this, slide right, you see on the same page, there is control link HA1 information, and you have to select which interface is going to act as HA1 link. And you see by default, the management interface is there. You don't even need to do anything for this. You could have selected if there was some other interface involved. And also if you want encrypted communication, like in our case, if it is going directly between the two firewalls, whether you have encrypted communication or not, it doesn't matter much, right? But if you are going to have it maybe going through a switch or a router or something, like then you can have encrypted communication. But for us, we are not enabling any encryption. Okay, so actually I didn't configure anything on this. Okay. And this is where you decide, like, do you want to enable synchronization of sessions? Yeah, that happens automatically. Okay. And I'll click on this gear icon now to mention the interface for HA2, that is Ethernet 1/1. And if you have these two very far away and have routing in between, then you can mention the IP address that you need on this end here, mask and gateway and everything. Also, then you will change the transport to IP or UDP. Okay. In my case, I didn't change anything. I just kept it as Ethernet. Okay. And I don't need to mention any IP address because we are just using it as a layer 3 link. Okay. So actually, this was checked by default. I just selected the port. Done. Okay. Also, you can see just below the HA1, there is HA1 backup link if you want to configure that. And there just below HA2, there is HA2 backup link if you want to configure. Okay. So that's it. And I'll click commit. So I'll go to the other firewall, and here also I'll enable HA, give the same group ID value, that's 1. And now I'm on .10. I'll give the IP address as it's a number to identify each other, which is used. See, sometimes they share the same maybe layer 2 link, then you can have easily identified by having different group ID. Okay. Not with this firewall, but maybe there are some other firewalls also doing HA. Okay. So I'm in 0.10 and I'm giving 0.13 as IP address here. Priority I'll not modify. I'll just enable preemption. 150, that firewall should become active. On the control link also, again, I don't need to modify anything. On the data link, I will go here and select Ethernet 1/1. Okay. And if required, we can configure link and path monitoring. Now, one of the easiest way to check is you can see the system logs generating here, like they are matched, this is matched, that is matched. Okay. One of the easiest way to check HA is you can enable a widget having HA information. Okay. If you click on this, what you see is the mode that we are using is active passive. The local firewall, that's 0.10, is passive. Who is active is 0.13. The configuration is synchronized. All these things are matched up and links are up and up. Now, let me show you a demo. I'll just go and create an object here on 0.13. It will automatically populate on 0.10. Okay, so on both these firewalls, currently there's no address object. Fine. So I'll go to 0.13. And here I'll click add. Okay, so as soon as I push commit, let's add the widget here as well. See, configuration synchronization in pair, synchronization in process. And if you go object, the IP address comes on this .10 firewall as well. Similar thing, you can try it for other things. Okay. Rest, you will obviously have to have a switch inside, outside, and everything else, but this is from HA point of view that you need. And like I was telling you, like if you go to device HA again, now you see there is this third tab here. And this is where you can select suspend local device, like 0.13 is currently active. I'll go here and say suspend local device to check HA if you want. Okay. And now you see that currently this firewall is suspended. So 0.10 is acting as active. And also if I click make local device functional, it will leave suspended state, but it will take some time. Okay. Okay. So these are the things that we did. Any questions? And also, again, like I always tell you, go to PAN-OS admin guide and read the HA section from there. Okay, it's around 50-60 pages or so. Okay. Fine. Any questions?
Yes.
Sudhanshu, in hardware failure conditions, suppose one device got failed related to hardware, and if we deploy any new hardware after replacing, so which thing we have to notify?
See, whatever you do, just if you are replacing a firewall, suppose in here Palo Alto 1 and 2 are being used and this went bad, and now we brought in another firewall and we are adding it here, suppose. Okay, then suppose I do this. Okay, suppose I bring this firewall and replace it with this. The only thing that you should take care of is make sure that this is factory default, because see, Palo Alto 1 and 2 are already synchronized with each other, right?
Yes.
So if you remove this, okay, if you just remove this and plug it, it will synchronize after you configure HA, right? But if it has some configuration, then there might be conflicts, and this Palo Alto 3 might update Palo Alto 2, which is very bad, right? So just whatever new firewall you're bringing in, bring it as a factory default, and use your active firewall to just synchronize the configuration to pair.
Mm-hmm. Mainly we should factory restore firewall. We have to deploy.
The new firewall that, because see, if it was a fresh firewall out of the box from Palo Alto, it's already fresh. But sometimes I've seen people, maybe like in some organization, they have one firewall just for a test bed, and maybe the IT. I like it happened to one of the guys I know, not for Palo Alto, but it happened with Cisco. Okay,
Yes. So we don't require
the
to
IT
change
manager
any
used
priority,
to
or
the IT manager used to do practicals on it, and like it was sitting on his desk. Okay, and then when they brought it in without modifying anything, that uh, the synchronization happened the other way. Like the a firewall sitting on the IT manager's desk synchronized the configuration to the production. So it was rolled back easily because they had configuration backups. But why do that, right?
okay.
Fine, guys. I'll end the meeting. We'll meet tomorrow and discuss site-to-site VPN, or probably user ID. I'll install the Windows server today. Actually, I
Okay.
was not able to get the ISO image for that.
Okay, Sudhanshu. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.